You and I may not link the concept of creation or the concept of Noah's flood to the concept of the second coming of Jesus Christ. But Peter links it up. Why? Because both ideas are linked to the idea of God intervening in history. There's one thing to accept the concept of God in some abstract, impersonal, and perpetual sense. It's quite another to recognize a God that not only created the world, but interferes in its history, intervenes in its history, participates in its history. And that's what the creation implies, that's what Noah's flood implies, and that's what the second coming of Jesus Christ explicitly expresses. So the point is, the concept of Noah's flood is linked, strangely enough, to the and the creation and so forth, to the second coming of Jesus Christ. Verse 5, for this they willingly are ignorant of. You notice it's not a result of reason, it's a result of will. Our reason, our minds, are tools. They're not ends in themselves. They are tools available to us. But this disbelief in what God says is an act of the will, not the intellect. We decide what we believe and then rationalize it. That's really what he's saying. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, by which the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. And that's one of our problems, by the way. The world before the flood perished. And I don't mean just that it drowned. If our perception of Noah's flood is that, gee, there was a lot of water and everything died, that's only partly it. That's part of the issue. The whole ecology of the planet Earth changed. There were more changes in the Earth than you and I would normally have awareness of. We'll get into some of that next time as we get into the scientific background of the flood. The fact the flood was worldwide, universal, is well evidenced everywhere. But there's some really important issues before we get into the flood, is why was there a flood in the first place? Isn't that a little bizarre? One of the questions you should put in your mind is how many people were on the earth at the time of the flood? We don't know. But let me share one thing with you. Scientists who have studied that question have estimates that go as high as 7 billion people. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying there are that many people. The point is, there could have been, there very well may have been, an enormous population on the earth. See, we have rather quaint, myopic views of the account in Genesis. It shakes you to think of the fact that God scrubbed the slate clean and saved 8 people. That's pretty tough, isn't it? Pretty tough. What got God to go to that extreme? Why would God wipe out all but 8? Well, because they were wicked. That's a big part of it, but not the only part of it. There's some really bizarre stuff lying behind the scenes. And let me warn you right up front, I'm going to share with you a no gloves, no nonsense description of what the Bible really says. You can attend many good Bible studies that will never get into the rather spooky background that we're going to get into now. So anyone faint of heart, you might want to flip away. The tapes on this program are going to be labeled X. Okay. All right. So at this point, it's probably a good time to jump right in. If we're going to study Genesis 6, let's study Genesis 6, right? Oh, a couple of things I want to do in Genesis 5 before we leave. I'm departing from my notes a little bit here. We have Enoch who walked with God. We talked about Methuselah last time and what his name meant, right? Enoch walked with God. Does that sound exciting to you? Do you know that privilege is available to you? It's only spoken of as Adam, Noah, and Enoch, right? But you know you can. That privilege is available. Colossians 2:6, Galatians 5:25, and 2 Corinthians 5:7. You put that together and you can... By the way, there are 2 guys that are translated, right? Enoch was translated, raptured, halfway between Adam and Abraham. Who's the other guy translated? Elijah, right. Halfway between Abraham and Christ. Kind of interesting.